Hi, I'm Carson James, and in this video we're going to talk about probably one of the most important things involving getting your horse to be how you want him to be and to pay attention and anything you would ever want to teach him. And what that thing is rein management, okay? A perfect example is if you're trotting your horse along and he goes into a lope and your reins are this loose like this, and you come up here, you don't have anything. If they start to run through it, they can just run right through it, and then they can learn to run through it, okay? But if while going, before we're trying to stop or slow your horse down, if you can gather up your reins, not to where you're holding them, notice I still got some slack, but to where you take the light feel, and then if your horse starts to push through, you can get a little firmer, you know, to make it difficult on them to try to push through. Well, without being able to manage your reins correctly, you won't be able to do that. One of the worst examples of poor rein management, or one of the best examples of poor rein management, would be to where you saw somebody riding around like this. Now see, my horse is already backing. If I rode him forward like this on a tight rein everywhere, well then he would get to where it would take this much to keep him from going faster, okay? So, especially on young horses, you may ride a colt somewhere in here, but notice I'm not hanging on his face. Notice there's still some slack, but there's only a little bit, meaning if I move my hands this much, see, I can have contact with his nose. If you were in a snaffle bit or anything else, it would be the exact same thing. Okay, so if I'm walking my horse around and I want to turn, and I go to pick up here and he doesn't turn, well look here, I can hold tight with this hand, slide this hand down to where I can get a little more contact and really get him to come around, okay? So we can slide this hand down and get a little bit of contact and put a little bit of life in that rein. And see, we can get him to come around there. Okay, if we wanted him to stop and back up, we couldn't be right here. We can with him because he's had enough of it and he just kind of made me look good, but you wouldn't want to be right here because your horse could run right through that. When you come in to stop your horse, you want to gather up your reins and then bring them. And see, then if your horse pushes through, you can take a hold and say, hey, get off of it, don't push on me, don't push on me, don't push on me. Then the second that they feel like they kind of quit pushing a little bit, you give it back to them and say, good. So anytime somebody has a horse that's pushy on a bit, or pushy on their hands, or pushy in the bridle, there's a lot of different words for it, but it basically just means your horse ignores the pressure and keeps on going. Well, the reason that horses get like that is usually because one of two things. The timing isn't right, meaning the person's walking the horse or loping the horse or trotting the horse or whatever, and they ask the horse to stop, and then the horse stops, and then they don't give him any relief, okay? That was horrible timing. I was way late on my release right there. This would be a lot more accurate. See there? See the release? Horses learn from when you stop doing what you're doing or when you ease off of doing what you're doing, okay? So, if you practice your rein management, you can get to where you can improve your timing of your releases. Improved timing comes from good rein management and practice, okay? And being able to feel what the horse is doing. That's why the fundamentals are so helpful, is because they can really get a rider familiar with what the horse is doing, how fast the feet are moving, what foot is going what direction, and all of those things like that. So some other rein management things that you can work on if you want to ride one-handed. If your hands are wide like this, you can pass this rein into this hand, and then notice I'm still not holding him, but if I move my hand just a little bit, I've got a hold of him there, see? Then if I want to go left, I can bend my hand like this. Now notice that tightens the left rein, okay? Now let me come around here. I haven't moved my hand in any way. If I want to tighten the right rein, I can do that. See there? Notice my right rein is a little tighter than my left one. So I can tighten it, and then I can bring the leg and the outside rein and come over here. Now we can tighten the left one, put a little life in it, and bring the leg and move that over there. You could also back up if you wanted to, okay? And if they get pretty good at it, you can back up and turn at the same time with one hand, see? Now we'll straighten back up, back and straight. Now we'll back to the left. Now we'll walk off in a straight line. Now we'll come to the right a little bit. Now we'll come to the left a little bit. Now we'll come to the right a little bit. See, all of that can be done with one hand, okay? And if you were like this and you went to ask your horse to stop and he just kept on going, well then you could just come right here and tip the nose like we talked about in teaching a horse to slow down, okay? So even when your reins are in one hand, you can still come here and take a hold, or you could come here and take a hold. If you were going to ride this horse off a neck rein, you could have them both even like this, and then you could come right here. You could switch hands and come here. You could give them all of the rein back. You could gather up your reins by, if you have two hands here, you can widen your hands, tighten your grip, and then come back in. Now they're tight again. To loosen them out, you just do the opposite. To tighten them, then you can go here, right rein, left rein, or right rein, left rein. So I highly encourage you guys to practice your rein management, and it'll really help you get to where you can get in a lot better timing with your horses, which is really going to change your horse's performance. It'll change his attitude, it'll change his personality, it'll improve his stopping, it'll improve his mind. A lot of horses that were really spooky, just riding them with better timing and rein management, they weren't spooky anymore, only after a couple of weeks. So don't overlook the importance of being able to manage your reins, and you'll get to where you can do this really quickly. Right rein, left rein, bring them both together, shorten them up, and then right rein and then left rein and give it back out. If you were neck rein, you could come down here and left rein, right rein, then you could go here, then you could cross them over, then you could come back, and then you could come out here to the left a little bit, then you could switch and come out here to the right a little bit. So practice this and work on it until you're very comfortable with changing the length of your reins, which one's longer, which one's shorter. And once you get really good at that, you'll see a lot of good changes happening in your horse.